Hi, good evening, everybody. Tiffany, founder and executive director of Crafting Change. I want to welcome everybody to a very special Crafting Change class. Tonight, we are going to talk about scrap busting holiday gift ideas that some Craftivists have gotten together to present. So, Kathy, take it away.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming to our Scrappy Crafts gift Zoom. Just a couple of housekeeping notes. I think everybody is muted, which is fine. If you have questions, drop them in the chat, and we're going to pause in between each presenter to take care of any questions that you might have had about whatever that she was talking about. But tonight, I'm so excited because I think we have an excellent lineup of gift ideas for you. No matter what holiday you celebrate or who you're celebrating it with, I think we got a little bit of something for everybody. Now, there's 5 craftivists presenting tonight, and each one will show some of their favorite gift ideas that you can sew, knit, and crochet, with an emphasis on turning your scraps into gifts that you've lovingly made from your heart. And as they present their ideas, I will drop that link into the chat. Now, what could be better, you ask yourself? Well, just wait, there's more. Not only do we have the 12 projects that we're showing you tonight, we've also prepared a Scrappy Crafts guide sheet with our overflow ideas filled with links for over 30 different projects. And I'll post that guide at the end. So with no further ado, let's get started with our first presenter, Tiffany, showing us her hoop memory ornaments. Take it away, Tiff.
All right. I'm gonna blow myself up. I never do that. So, all right. Hi, everybody. Mine is a really, really simple craft, and it is a no-sew craft. So this is a really, really easy project. So we're not going to spend too much time on it. And as we've discussed before, Tiffany has a really hard time being brief, and I'm going to try really hard to be brief. It is a mass scrap. This is really to encourage you to use your mass scraps, and this is what they look like. This is with some fabric. This is actually fabric that Taylor designed on spoon flower of our puppies. And then this is just some of my favorite mass scraps. So these are made with little 3 and 4 inch embroidery hoops. You can buy individual ones at your local craft store, or you can buy big giant packages of them on Amazon. And you can get them for less than $1 each when you buy them in bulk. The links for that are in the project sheet. I've written a step-by-step guide. So this is why we don't need to spend a lot of time on it. Step-by-step pictorial guide that is so detailed, in fact, that I sent my husband to my craft room without any instructions, and he came back out with this. So everyone should be able to follow. This is one of my favorite fabrics that I got. So my husband made this all by himself, and there's only one instruction that we actually corrected, so he was able to do it. So all you need are the embroidery hoops, a scrap of fabric that is just a 1/2 inch bigger than the hoop that you're using. You need fusible interfacing. You need 1/2 inch wide ribbon. And I like the ribbon that has the wire edging on it because it'll give you a much better look. Because after these have been in your ornament box and they come back out the next year, you can reshape the ribbon. And then an ornament hook or some sort of twine or ribbon to be able to hang the ornament, or if you want to tie it on top of a package to give it away, something to tie it on with. The tools you need are your iron to attach your interfacing to your fabric. You need regular scissors. You need fabric pen or tailor's chalk to draw with. And then you need something to measure with. I like to use my seam gauge. I think it's a lot easier to measure with than using a big tape measure, because you're only going to be measuring 1/4 inch or an inch. So this is a lot easier to maneuver than a big giant tape measure. And then for one of the options, one of the variants of this, you would need pinking shears. And so for the variant looks like this, where you leave the fabric out instead of this one where it's just all smooth. So this is an option where the fabric is just kind of hanging out, and you'd want pinking shears for that. So Super easy. So here is all you do. You take your scrap of fabric. It just needs to be a minimum of, if you're using a 4-inch embroidery hoop, then you need a 4.5-inch square of fabric. If you're making the one that's just going to be like this, you would need it to be a full inch bigger than that if you want to make the one that hangs all out. You just lay your hoop down on your fabric wherever you're going to want to cut it. So if you're fussy cutting, does everyone know the term fussy cutting? We've done that enough with masks, right? Fussy cutting, like I want it right around my puppies. If you're fussy cutting, lay it down where you want it. Draw a circle around the hoop. Exactly around the outside edge of the hoop. Draw your circle with your chalk or your pen, exactly on the edge of the hoop. Lay your hoop aside, get your ruler, and then you're going to go, and I've already shown here where you can do it. You're going to go a 1/4 inch outside, further outside that edge, and make another line a 1/4 inch bigger. And that's where you cut. If you want to make the one that hangs further out, you're going to go an inch bigger. And then the same thing. And so you're either going to cut it a 1/4 inch bigger with regular scissors, or you're going to go an inch bigger with your pinking shears. And then you're going to cut it out in a circle. And so I do it just a dotted line. And if you're super smart and a super good crafter, you can just do like 4 lines and cut it. I would do that and it would be all wonky and funky and not be very pretty. Some of you are really smart and can cut good circles and need to maybe draw 3 lines and you can do it. That's awesome. Go for it. Tiffany cannot do that. Tiffany needs to draw an almost completely solid line. Now cut it out in a circle, and then you're going to open up your embroidery hoop. My recommendation and advice on this is to open it up. The bare minimum you have to open it up. So when you put it back on, it's going on nice and tight. Because if you open it up really big and loose, when you go to put your fabric back on, it's going to be all wonky. There's our crafting change word, wonky, that we like. So when we go to put the fabric on, we want it to just fit really tight. And sometimes I don't open it up enough and like I can't get it back on, but you want it to just fit back over really snug. So you're going to have cut out your circle. I'm not actually going to make one of these. This is so simple. You don't need me to. When you have your circle, you're just going to center it on your bottom hoop. You're going to take your top hoop over the top. You're going to push it down and you're done. Super simple. You cut an 18-inch piece of ribbon, tie a bow on top, and you have an ornament. It's so easy. The thing that will take you longer than making this is going through your mask scraps and picking them out and figuring out which one you want to make into an ornament. So I really encourage you when you do this and you give away like something that's a mask scrap, to really let the recipient know some of your mask making journey, and because we are truly living history right now. So tell them a little bit about what that fabric was to you as a mask maker, and a little bit about your journey with mask making, so they know. I dated mine. This is actually I wrote 2020 on it. This is actually hangs in my craft room because this was actually really special fabric. This actually is a picture of my dogs I had made so I think share that history, share that journey with you when you give your mask scraps away, because you are living history. So Kathy, that's all I got. These are like the easiest things ever.
Oh, that's awesome. I really like the idea about putting the date on them, because I collect ornaments every year. I get a new one, and then I look back like at some that you've had for 25, 30 years, and you go, oh, wow, that was going on in my life. So yeah, you're right. This is something in history. We look back 10 years and go, oh man, I can't believe I crocheted 500 hats, or whatever you did. So it's really sentimental. I like that.
Yeah, you can write the date on the inside of the hoop too. If you don't want it on the outside, you can write it on the inside. And the other thing too is you can get really fancy with these. I mean, you can cover the back with fabric. You can put decorative fabric on the inside. I mean, I do these really simple because I don't have time to get really fancy. You can add You can add little other glue, get your hot glue gun out, go crazy. But this is the simple version. You can get really fancy and crazy with these. But it was a really, I gave tons of these away last year. But it's a really fun way to use up your mass scraps. So that's it.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Tiffany? I can't see if anybody's raising their hand anyway. So.
No, that was about as easy as you could get. So
we've got a comment from Cindy that says, yes, absolutely. Date them and initial them. Yep. Part of history.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I really like something that comes from the heart and something simple like that. It's really achievable. Really achievable. Thank you. Next up, we've got Kathy Wargo. Are you set up, Kathy?
Yeah, I'm set up.
Which one do you want me to? You want me to blow up your hands?
Yeah, blow up my hands because I'll be showing it on there.
Kathy Wargo's been working on some really awesome little scrappy crafts, and I can't wait to see what she came up with. So take it away, Kathy.
Okay. First off, we did a couple of zooms on scrappy pieces of fabric, making your own fabric. And one way to make your fabric would be just using up your different strips, whatever width they happen to be, that you might have left from something. Then we did another one where we just went crazy, literally crazy quilt kind of thing. And we just kept putting in pieces on until you get it to the size you want it. And then we cut it. To do these projects today, you can do it with your scraps this way. You just need to make the scrap pieces big enough to fit your pattern. I didn't have time to do a lot of the scrap making today, so I don't have one to show you out of the actual scraps in that nature, but these can be adapted very, very easily. The first one up is really, really simple. It's a coffee cup mug, a holder thing to keep your hands from getting all, see, I gotta get used to the way the camera is. You know, keep your hands from getting burned from your hot coffee. And there's numerous ways of making this, and they're all on, you know, a gazillion different YouTubes. I did give a link to Kathy, and I guess she'll put it up, one that I thought was a fairly good one, although I did find some caveats when I used it. But you can either go on and see that video, and it has a pattern attached to it, or next time you're at Starbucks, don't throw your coffee thing away. Open it up and make it a template. The only thing with this, you're going to want to make it about 1.5 inches to 2 inches longer. And you'll see why in a few minutes. But this is one simple way to make one. And first, the pattern that came with the video that I showed her comes with 2 pieces, an outer piece and a fusible fleece inside piece. So you would place your pattern on the fold of your fabric, and then your piece will come out looking like that. You'll want one for the outer and one for the inside, the lining, out of the larger piece. If you'll see that the one piece is smaller than the other, the larger piece you're going to cut your fabric out of. And the more narrow piece, you're going to cut your batting the exact same way. You're going to place it on the fold, and you're going to cut it out. Now, if you don't have any longer pieces of fabric, it would be just as easy to, like I said, take one of these things and put a whole bunch of strips together. Then you could place that on a fold. If I had it wider, we could place it on the fold the other way. I think that would be prettier, but either way, place it on the fold and cut your pattern out from here. Where'd that go? Oh, here it is. And then it would be, you know, striped, or in that case, or scrappy in this case. I think this would be cute, the scrappy one. So then you're going to want to take your batting And you'll see it's about 3/8 of an inch smaller than the fabric. And you'll iron that to the, I like to iron it so that it's glued to the front piece, so the front piece doesn't move around as much. These are so easy. And then you're going to put right sides together, this with your lining. You're going to sew both ends. Let's see if we can see both ends. You're going to sew both, you're going to leave an opening in the middle about like this. Sew all the way around it, about 3/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, leaving an opening. Then you'll turn it through that opening. You'll turn it through that opening and flatten it out, iron it, and then top stitch it all the way around. Then what I do is, because all the cups are different sizes, for instance, this is a Starbucks reusable cup, and I usually just put it where I like to have it on my hand, and then I overlap them and pin them so I know exactly where to make it. Some of the cups are a little bigger, so you have a lot of overlapping on this pattern, so you have a lot of way to use. Then I just pin it and take it off. Now there's several ways you can also finish them up. You can just do a couple little tacks, and then it's always there. Or you can put Velcro on the underneath, and then it will be adjustable if you happen to have a larger cup. Say this cup, it's a lot bigger, and this one's got tacks on it, so it's not adjustable, so it doesn't go up very far. But if I had put a Velcro in here, I could have adjusted and it would have gone all the way up. Another way, if you don't want to mess with batting, another way to do it is you use your cotton, or in this case I use flannel on the outside and fleece on the inside. And that'll keep the heat off your hand too, and it cuts out that one step, that middle step. And just finish it the same way. These are fun, and they're so fast to make. You might also, if you can put a button or maybe a little decorative stitch on the corners. All different kinds of things that you can do to dress them up a little bit. If you have an embroidery machine, you can embroider somebody's name on it. Give it to them as a gift that way. Now, if you don't have the longer scraps and you haven't got enough room to put on the fold, you can do 2 pieces. Just remember that when you cut 2 pieces, you want to leave a little extra here for a seam allowance, which is what I did on this one, because I just had some 9x7 mask pieces that I haven't put into masks yet, so I just seamed them together. Then I have the pieces that are long enough, and that's another way to use up some of the scraps. Or maybe you have a mask that just wasn't exactly the right size, and rather than throw the fabric away, you can use it that way. All right, another thing I thought was really cute was this. It was called a Super Simple Christmas Stocking. And it comes in extra large, large, medium, small, and extra small. So I decided to make the small one. And now again, this is very easy also. And there's a link to a video and the pattern for this. Kathy will put it in the thing for you. But it literally is just 2 pieces of fabric, a lining fabric and an outside fabric. And you cut 2 for lining and 2 for the outer part. So I would fold my fabric so you have the right sides together when you cut it, so that you don't end up with 2 going the same direction and you can't sew them together. Don't ask me how I know that. Even a seasoned sewer can make that simple, stupid mistake. So you basically sew your 2 pieces together. This is your lining piece. And if you want to have a little hanger on it, hanging tag or something, you place that in before you sew up your lining. You sew all the way around your lining, leaving a little space here so we'll be able to turn it. And you can either, I trim these down with the pinking shears, and it won't ravel as much that way. Then you do the same thing with the outer part. Then the next part is you
Oh,
turn the outer part inside out and you put it down inside this one as best you can. Doesn't have to go all the way down in there. But what you're going to be doing is you're going to be matching up the tops all the way around of these two pieces. And you're going to sew your 3/8 of an inch all the way around. Then you will pull this part back out and you'll turn the whole thing right side out. And once you've got it all sewed together, it's going to look like this. You sewed it around the top. Then you'll be turning the top part down as a little hem on the top there, a little decorative part, and then you have a really simple little stocking. And see how I didn't have any scrap fabric made up, but this kind of gives you the idea of what you could do if you had a bunch of different strips of Christmas fabric that you wanted to put together. And that would be really, really cute. These, I think they took 20 minutes to make all total, cutting it out and everything. Very, very fast. Now the next thing is we all go through kitchen towels like crazy, and we like to have them for all seasons in our kitchen. This one is so easy. I got these at the Dollar Tree. You get 2 towels for $1. No, 1 towel for $1, and 2 of these pot holders for $1. So you can make 2. You buy 2 towels and 1 set of pot holders, and you can make 2. So basically, what you do is, and you can also make pot holders out of your scraps by adding batting. And it's all, quilted and everything for you. So there you go. You got a pot holder. But you fold your towel in half. I always try to refold them because they're never quite straight. And you want to make sure that your towel is the same width folded as your pot holder is wide. So you'll just keep folding it until it's the same width as your pot holder. At that point, I go and give it a good press down both sides and across the middle here. And what is so easy about this one is once you have that crease up there, you know where the middle is, so you can open this back out. Here, I'll show you one made. You open it back out and you take your pot holder, which is now the same width, and you just sew right down the center. This is the right side of your towel, and if you want a contrast, you use a solid, and if you want it to have the design, you use the design. And you just sew it right down the middle. I usually go twice across there. And you have this darling little towel that can hang from the handle on your oven. Now some people put a button right here to keep it fastened, but I like to put Velcro in here. I don't have to worry about buttons that way. And the added thing about that is if you have it on your thing and you need a towel real quick, just give it a quick jerk, it breaks the Velcro and you have your towel in your hand, rather than trying to fiddle with unbuttoning it. These are really simple and fast, but like I said, you can make them using your scraps also by making your pot holders from your scraps, or you could use a solid towel and maybe make a little strip of some of your scraps across the towel as a decorative piece. Now this next hand towel will come in handy really for the holidays. And this is called a kitchen boa. I'm going to have to go to the other camera, I think, to show you this one on. But basically, it's a very long piece of fabric with towels on either end. And if you can pin that other screen for a minute, I'll show you how it looks on. I can't turn this camera around the way I have it set up. Oops. Still can't. Anyway, you just wear it where it goes around your neck, and it hangs down in front, so you always have a towel handy when you're in the kitchen working on Thanksgiving dinner. But this one is super simple too. Again, you take your towel, and depending on, what you want to do, you can have a solid towel, you can have a towel with designs. Some of the towels I have a design on this side and nothing on the other, but what you're going to use is one towel for one of these, and you're going to cut it. You're going to bend it in half, and you're going to cut it right down the middle. So then you'll essentially have two pieces of this towel. Then you're going to fold your towel however you want it. Some people like it folded this way. Some people like to accordion fold it like this, so that it's more like that when it's hanging. But that's up to you. Whatever you do, and you get it pinned and you get it folded, you then measure exactly how wide it is. In this case, I think it was 5 inches wide. So in order to determine how much fabric you need, you're gonna cut a piece of fabric 2 times the width plus 1 inch for this long tube that we're going to put in the middle between the two pieces. And it's going to be cut width of your fabric, 42, 44, 45, whatever it happens to be. Then you'll bend it in half, hot dog style, the long ways, and you're going to just do a seam and then put that seam in the middle and iron it flat. Then you'll turn this under about 1/2 inch along the edge here, because both these ends are going to be open. And you sandwich your cut towel in there, and then just do one top stitch close to the edge, and then another one about 1/8 to 1/4 inch away from it. And that secures your towel in place. Now, for a lot of people, that's the end. But I didn't like that long 5 inches piece of fabric across my neck. So what I did was I found the middle point and I folded it, and I just made it like an accordion pleat right here, so that it hangs down around my neck this way, and there's not as much bunching up there. But this would be good for those leftover pieces of fabric from your pillowcases that you just don't have anything else to go with. You might have a piece of width of fabric that's 9 inches. You can fold your towel to fit whatever. Like if you only have a 9-inch wide piece, you want your towel to be 4 inches folded, because it needs to be twice the width of the towel folded plus 1 inch, because you're going to use 1/2 inch for your seam. But that would be a good way to use up some of those width of fabric pieces. Or you could, like you said, you could take your strips and you could just do a whole bunch of long strips. A lot of us have width of fabric 2.5-inch strips, and just put them all together, then do the exact same thing. Then you'll fold them in half. You'll do the seam up the side. You'll turn it right side out and iron it with the seam up the middle like that. And that's all I have. I think these are really, really fast to make. I think they're cute, and they can be dressed up in any way. If you use a solid towel and maybe a decorative pot holder, maybe you want to put a small little piece of ribbon across the bottom to decorate it out. You could put a fancy button on here. Whatever your creative mind lets you do. I hope that gave you some good ideas for fast and simple things. But none of these take more than half an hour, 20 minutes to make.
But Kathy, those are just awesome. I appreciate it. I like the idea on the coffee sleeve to just save the sleeve that you get from coffee and use that as your pattern. I think that's excellent.
You just
'Cause
got to
sometimes-
remember that coffee sleeve is
For that cup.
continuous, so there's no. Yeah, to make it overlap, to make it adjustable, you need to add about an inch to inch and a half on each end,
Yeah,
so you have a little overlap.
yeah.
But it's just as easy to do it that way.
And
It's a lot
it-
easier to sew that way than
it
trying
can-
to sew all around that tiny little round hole of a sleeve.
Can you take that scrappy fabric that's the long stripe and lay it out on the table? Open that up and lay that stocking pattern on that.
Oh yes, that would be really nice. Either way.
Oh, wouldn't that be cute?
Especially-
Even at an angle or wherever you want
Yes.
it to. Oh, that'd be
Uh-huh.
darling. Look at that. I'd
Or
like
again,
that
the
so much.
stockings is the sky's the limit on these stockings. You do a bunch of Christmas fabrics. Stockings are supposed to be decked up, so you might want to get out your glue gun and put a little sequins or something on it, or
Mhm.
whatever.
It's so easy. I love it because you know that everybody's got big boxes of scraps at home. I love the idea of
And
making.
if you use minky for the lining, when you turn it down, you have a when you turn it down, you have a fluffy, soft part up here on top of your, like a boot, like a lot of the stockings have.
Little fluffy
I would
cuff.
suggest if you use minky or fleece or any of those types of fabric, that I would sew the lining at a half an inch instead of a quarter of an inch. Or if you use a quarter of an inch for the outer, I would use a half an inch for the inner, and taper it up when you get up here. Taper it back out when you get up to the close to the top. But down here, I would taper it in and take a half an inch rather than a quarter of an inch, because minky and fleece have a little stretch to it, and it's going to get real bulky inside. So you need to make it a little bit smaller than the outer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking for your coffee lovers, you put a nice reusable coffee mug with one of those homemade coffee sleeves and maybe add some coffee with it. Oh man, they'd be all over that. That'd be great.
And the
Questions.
the one made with
Sorry.
the coffee sleeve made with the fleece is really fast and easy, because you don't have to do the batting inside, because the
Yeah.
fleece is more than enough to hold off the heat from your hand.
Insulate it.
Again, I would just caution you that because it's fleece and it's stretchier, and there is a bias here, that take your time in sewing and edge stitching it around so that you don't stretch it out, because it will get, as this one did, a little bubbly, kind of like that thing you did the other day. But you can do it, especially if you have a walking foot.
And you can cut your fleece on the lengthwise
Yes.
grain. That'd be the more stable grain.
Mhm.
Can you take a couple questions?
Sure.
Okay, who we got? Tara?
So on that first towel project, did you cut that towel in half, or was that towel one piece with the pot
This-
holder?
This one is, you just leave it intact, and you just lay it out flat after you get it folded. You lay it out flat,
Okay.
and then you just find the middle point, and you find the middle point on your hot pad, and you just sew down the middle of it. And I sew down and I sew back, just to give it a little more strength. And that's all there is to that one. That is just the simplest thing there is.
Okay, thank you.
But you can use those scraps, make your own pot holders, and they would
All
be
right.
cute that way too.
Thank you. Cindy?
Yes, I just wanted to comment. I love the coffee holders to keep the heat off.
Uh-huh.
They're also great in the summer if you make one for like a water bottle or an iced tea, because I do not like when my bottles sweat.
Yeah, that's what you can see.
So you could make them for
I-
all seasons.
Right. And that's why this pattern is really long, this pattern, what it comes with this one, it's very long. So before you tack it, you'll want to try it on whatever size mug you're going to use or cup you're going to use, and slide it up to where you want it, and then pin it, and then tack it at those points, because it gives about a 3-inch overlap. So you really can fit any kind of mug, even those big metal ones and stuff. You can, this pattern's really versatile that way. Or like I said, if you put Velcro underneath, little pieces of Velcro, then it's adjustable for whatever size mug you put it on.
Yeah. Anybody else? Thank you, Kathy. I really appreciate it. You've really hit a home run with those gifts, where I think all of our wheels are starting to turn now. So thank you.
Okay.
Our next presenter deserves an extra kudos because she's just freshly back from vacation and still had time to make something for us. So we really appreciate that. Robin, whenever you're ready.
Hello, good to be back. Can you pin my hands? I think I will show you what I was working on.
I'm looking for your hands. Hold on.
Robin's hands. Robin's hands.
I know. I'm like, there's 8 million boxes here. So I'm like, why can't I find them? Wave for them. Wave like persistently. Oh, thank you. That helped.
All right. So I was up in Canada, and the best kind of souvenir is a yarn souvenir. So here's my lovely yarn. It is organic cotton, worsted weight. Now we've been doing a lot of work with worsted weight yarn, making our hats and our scarves, our cowls, and our mittens. The cotton that we've been using is a little less thick, but you might find that your sugar and cream is thick enough for this. But what I was making is these little, my daughter goes through cotton pads at an alarming rate, taking her makeup off every night. And these little rounds, Kathy's already put up the link for it. These things go together in a super big hurry. I'm not going to make any of them because I am not as fast a crocheter as Melanie, but I still managed to make a good assortment of lovely cotton pads. And with very little skills, I am not a crocheter by nature. I made this cute little basket that the little pads all fit in. Super cute. And I was going to say, I accidentally, you can see how I have no chill about them all being the same size. And you can do that when you're hand making things, because people accept a gift no matter what size it is. And you can make as many or as few as you want of these cute little circles. They go in the wash, they come out looking exactly the same. And then while I was crocheting up, I got distracted while I was waiting at my gate. And they're supposed to be about this size. You know, sometimes if I'm nervous and tense, they're this size. If I'm a little bit more relaxed, they're this size. And I ended up making one that was just far too big. But I discovered that with all of my actual scraps, because when you make one of these, you've got an end. You start with a magic loop, which if you've knit or crocheted any of the hearts, the little hearts for Knit the Rainbow, you start with a little magic loop. So there's always a thread sticking out of there. And there's always a thread at the end that you have to deal with. After you weave them in, you've got a bunch of little threads. So I have my one that's just a little bit too big, but I have my mug, my little Canadian money mug. And you've got a coaster. So dual duty, you can do makeup removing pads if you're tired of making soap sacks with your cotton. You can make it a little bit bigger and make some coasters. I'm gonna cut these all even, but I was just messing around with them this morning, and it'll be all even. You can make a set of coasters, and the link that Kathy has posted is super explanatory. It's all stitches that anybody who has made a hat for the Hopa Mountain, or has made a soap sack, or has sat in on any of Melanie's classes, very familiar. There's nothing new under the sun with this project. You can easily pop up, you know, a half dozen coasters in an episode of, you know, Murder, She Wrote. Ta-da! Any questions?
We have a comment from the gallery here. Each one of the little pads could be a different color depending on how much scraps you've got left over. That would be
Absolutely.
fun.
Absolutely. And for washing dishes, you might want to make them a little bit bigger for washing dishes, but certainly it's a welcome change for those of you who have made hundreds of soap sacks. It is definitely an easier thing, or changes the way your brain thinks a little bit if you're in a crochet rut.
But I like the way that you've made it versatile, Robin, because I can see a little basket of those sitting on somebody's end table for coasters.
Absolutely.
I think that would be really cute. And I never thought about using them for makeup remover pads, but you're right. How many times do you just throw those others away? And this would be great, you know, just make a bunch, and when they're done, just throw them in your laundry in a lingerie bag. That's an awesome idea.
I love those so much. In our effort to have less waste, I love this so much.
Right. So right now, I think it was Deb who pointed all of us evilly to the Lion Brand clearance section. Right now, Lion Brand in their clearance section has a recycled cotton that's $1 a skein. And ordinarily it would cost a little bit more, but for every skein of cotton that you can keep out of the landfill, for every several ounces of cotton takes a lot of water to produce. And if we can be recycling the cotton, whether it's, you know, turning shirts into pillowcases or however we can do it, any way that you can recycle cotton is a good thing. And so the recycled cotton is not as soft, but it certainly, after a couple of washes, would be not noticeable. And also, if you wanted to have a little bit of an exfoliant face pad, you know, you don't need the super soft organic souvenir cotton yarn that I bought.
Yeah. No, that scrubby yarn, the scrubby yarn.
The scrubby yarn is too scrubby for faces. Just putting it out there. But the scrubby yarn would be great for doing dishes.
Okay, answered my question. You knew where I was headed with that one.
Yeah. So
maybe the calluses on my feet, but not my face, right?
No, yeah. Yeah. But anyways, there you have another little project that you could do. For the in general, knitting projects are not super fast. But the little crochet ones can be.
And I appreciate it, Robin. That was just really a lot of clever ideas going on. In the document that we have that we're going to be posting at the end, I do have a section in there that's like 30 easy crochet gifts or 40 easy knitting gifts. So we do have more information about knitting and crocheting. We didn't want to leave any of your knitters or crocheters out. So we've got something for you there. But thank you so much. And I'm glad that you're home safe and had a good visit. Long overdue.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, I think up next, we've got Martha up next. Martha has just been fantastically working away. She's just going to blow our minds with everything that we need to make. And I love this first one, so I'm excited to see how this goes together. So here's got Martha. Take it away, Martha.
Hi, everybody. This first scrap project is the Hexagon Coasters. And what we need is we're going to need 7 of these scrap 5.5-inch pieces of fabric. What we need is, I use a 5.5-inch hexagon template, and then it, with the 1/2-inch seam, it goes down to 5. That's what this is with this cup on it. And I think Kathy has a link up where you can actually print out one of these hexagons for a template. Now, you can do these a couple different ways. This one has 2 different fabrics. This one has 3 different fabrics. As always, I have a harder time picking the fabrics than anything. I originally bought this fabric because I just loved it because it had the little cups, but the print is too big. And when you actually make this, you can't really decipher the coffee cups. It's cute, the colors, but you can't really see the coffee cups. So I opt for smaller fabrics, smaller prints like this. But let's get started. Okay, we need 7 hexagons. The bottom hexagon, we're going to do face up. It doesn't really need to match. It's not really going to show. But then our other 6, we're going to need 2 of 3 different kinds of fabrics cut into our hexagons. Then we're going to take them over to the ironing board, and we're going to put a good crease in them because we need that. It's always going to need to face the center. So we'll get started. Okay, we're going to put down our first hexagon that's folded. Then we're going to put down our second one. And when we put down the second one, we want to make sure that the first one, there's just a little triangle there. So you don't want it like that with a parallelogram or whatever that is. We just want a triangle. So then we just keep doing that. We keep building. And again, the crease side is always on the inside. And we just keep building and building. And this is what we end up with. Now, this is a part that gets a little confusing if you haven't done it, but after you've done it a couple times, it's not difficult at all. Okay, this is our last one we put down. We're going to pull that back. We're going to pull the one back underneath it. Then this is our very first triangle. We're going to pull that back. I'm going to do this a couple times for y'all. Then you fold that down, you flop this back, and you have a hexagon with all your 3 fabrics. So I'll do that again because that is a little, and once you do it a couple times, it's not difficult at all. Okay, this is our last fabric we put on. We're going to pull that back. Then we pull back the fabric underneath it. Then this is our very first triangle, very first hexagon we put down. We're going to pull that back. We're going to flop the last ones underneath and the first one on the top. So that's our little hexagon. Then we're going to take that to the sewing machine. We're going to do a 1/2-inch seam the whole way around, making sure that we have all the different fabrics in there. Then we're going to want to cut the corners off and cut off the seam. And then we're going to turn it inside out. And when you do this, you really need to make sure that you get the corners out very well. And you just got to fiddle with it. Well, hello. What am I doing here? Okay, there we go. Not pretty, but it's done. Then we'll take that over to the the iron, and iron that down very well and get those corners popped out. So that's all there is to it. It's pretty simple. You just need to have a hexagon shaped piece of fabric, 7 of them, and then just build that, sew around, flip it over and iron it. So that's a pretty simple one. Okay, number 2. The second one we do is going to be the lanyards. I think some of y'all have seen these, people wearing them during some of our segments. This one is a really scrappy project. All we need is, and these are all mask little scraps, 2.5 inch pieces of fabric. The width does not make that much difference, but we need each piece at least 2.5 inches. Okay. So I've started one here. These all need to be about 30 inches long. And I'll explain that when we get there. Okay. When I add on each piece, I try to make it even on the top. And then some of these I didn't cut off, you know, I made them longer than 2.5. That was just the piece of fabric I had. So we'll come back and cut that. But unlike on this piece of fabric, it's not a rectangle. We need a rectangle. So I'm taking this, my next piece of fabric that I want to add. We're just going to lay that on there with the edge being on the top. We just do a little seam right there and it folds over. So, I mean, this just cannot be any simpler. Here's another piece. If we wanted to add that on, we line it up on the top, sew a seam, and fold it over. So this is a great scrappy project. Okay, then we take it to the ironing board and just iron all the seams one way. Doesn't matter. Then we are going to take this to our cutting board, and we need to cut this side, make it even. So we started out with 2.5 inches. So we'll probably end up with about 2.5 inches, or maybe 2.25, because you might need to shore up this side as well. So after you do that, you end up with essentially this. We've already ironed the back. We've already cut off the sides. Then what we want to do is take it back to our iron. And what we're going to do is fold it in half and then fold in the side seams so that we can catch those side seams when we stitch it. So we fold it in half and then fold in the two sides, iron that very well. And then we're going to make a stitch all the way down this side, around the end, all the way down that side and around the end. So this is what we end up with. I've got two of them here. Now, on these are reels, badge reels. You can buy these at Walmart. You can buy them at, what am I trying to say? Office Depot, places like that. Or we're going to supply you with a link if you want to buy them in bulk. They come with this little plastic part where you can put they can put their badge in. And then it's a retractable reel. Now on this one, what you can do is you can leave that little plastic part on there. You could take a pair of scissors, put it in there, clip it back, and you're good to go. However, I did it a little bit different. I buy these scissors again online in bulk, and we've got that for you. They've got little holes at the top. So what I do is I cut off this plastic part, and then I put a little jump ring, or you could just thread it through this triangle ring, and then you thread it through your scissors. And so when you've got it on your neck, you can just go out and clip whatever. These are really sharp scissors, and they're also collapsible, which I think is kind of cool. But the reason I do them 30 inches long is you never know how long somebody wants these to be. I give them out as gifts. Some people's torsos are smaller, shorter. So I just finished off the ends and tie them in a knot. And so that way you can have it around your neck and you can it's just retractable. So that's number 2. That's the little scrappy. Okay, number 3. These are little pin cushions I've made, and you can find a lot of these online. You can buy these cups and these creamers at ARC, 50 cents to $1, pretty inexpensively. This one is actually a little creamer that I've made. Hello, Gato. Okay, what we do is that, as usual, it's hard to determine what you want, what cups you want to use and what fabric. These are the same exact pattern, but I use different fabrics on top. Okay, all we need for this one, that's supposed to be round. That's a 8-inch, 8.5 inch. I just took a plate, cut around it. When you pick a cup, I'm getting all confused, but that's all right. When you pick a cup, you can just put different pieces of fabric behind it and see what you like. And this is what I've chosen because it kind of pulls out, the lavender pulls out this mint color. So we've got our little round. Then I normally take these are just knee-high pantyhose that I have. You can use that, or you can just use the regular fiber fill without the knee-high. Fill it up some. And then what I do is when I get it good and round, I put it in my cup to see if that's about how I want it. So if you just place it on top, it looks ridiculous, of course, but if you push it down a little bit, that's about, and it'll get rounder once I put the fabric on it, but that's about how I want it. So I take this and I find my rubber band. Okay, the first time I saw this and I tried it, they said, put a basting stitch the whole way around, and then you pull the basting stitch and you get a little, the little cup like this. Well, every time I did that, I pull too hard and I break the basting stitch. So that's what I come up with. What I use is a rubber band, and you're going to put it around on this side so you don't have to keep messing with your fingers on the top. And there we go. And you can press this and figure out how you want it. It's not going to be perfect. You're not going to get every wrinkle out, but that's all right. It's homemade. Then you can either take a bead of hot glue, about a 1/2 inch in there, all the way around, and put this in there, or you can put this in there the way you want it. And then you just pull back and you can just put a little hot glue there and just go the whole way around until it's secure. And on something like this, if I have a saucer that goes with it, I'll just put a little bead of the hot glue and put that on there as well. And one thing I saw, I'll show you some ways to decorate these. One thing I saw the other day that was really interesting was they took a piece of crochet and or lace and put that on the top, which makes it look very interesting. You can put, this is a little piece of lace with beads on it. Put that around there. And this, although it's not going to go with this cup, you could even do something like that. It's just something interesting. And then I put some interesting different pins and things in them. I've got some beads around this. I've got beads around this one. Got little scissors there. This is some of my mother's china, the desert rose. I put in some desert rose looking fabric. Then I have this, which is a flower made out of a ribbon. And then this is actually one of her old clip-on earrings that I just glued on the top. And I'm going to give that to my sister for Christmas. But that's just some ideas on that. Also, I did try the cut glass, and I just was not impressed with what the cut glass looks like with the fabric in it. So that wasn't for me. Also on our links, Kathy has put this in our link. It's a darling. It's a little mini tin, like a tin tart or a pie tin. And then they made this on top with the little flutters, like it's the
Pie crust.
yeah, I don't know if y'all can see that or not, but anyway, that is darling. I didn't have enough time to get the little tints, but I just thought that was adorable. And they just, put it together, and we're putting that on our link as well. Okay, last and foremost, this is my favorite project. These are little folded Christmas trees. Last year, I made over 200 of these. They're very quick to make. They're a little bit addictive. And I gave them out to a nursing home where none of the patients ever have any visitors. So I made one for each one of the residents and for the staff, and they go very quickly. First off, you need to pick a fabric. Don't go out and buy a lot of new Christmas fabric, because you're going to find that you like some things together and other things you're not going to like. What I do is, again, I take my handy dandy 8.5 inch plate and I cut all these in half rounds. You can do them in whole rounds and cut them in half, however you'd like to do that. But this is using 2 parts of an 8-inch round. Now let's say we want to put these two together. Okay, we're going to put both right sides out. I'll show you how to fold it later, but I just want to show you how different things look. If we do this one way, it's going to look like that with the green out. Or if we do it the other way, we have the red out and it looks totally different. Let me show you some examples. These two are the same fabric. These two are the same fabric folded opposite. And these two are the same fabric folded opposite. So if you don't like it one way, you can try it the other way. All right, so you've got your 2 pieces of fabric. We like these two together. We do right sides together. You sew all the way around, leave a little teeny hole at the top. Then we're going to clip the corners and around the circle, and then we're going to turn this inside out. I think my cat wants dinner. And this is what we get. Now we're going to take this to the ironing board and make sure it's good and flat. Now we're going to do the folding. Now you fold it over 2/3 of the way. Then you fold this top part back. So you've got it straight here. So that's your first little bow. And then you fold that under. Could not be much simpler than that. Or if you wanted to do it the other way, we do it 2/3 over, fold it back on itself, and then fold this under. At this point, let's say I like it this way the best. I would take it to the ironing board and really iron it so that we get good creases on all these folds. There's several different ways we can embellish these. One is you can do it with stitching. This was just stitched all the way around our half circle with I don't know what kind of stitch that is, but it's interesting. And that looks very pretty. I tried it with just a straight stitch with a red fabric on the green, and it does absolutely nothing. So you don't need to waste your time doing that. But I've seen some of them with little hearts, little stars. So you can try that if you have embroidery stitches. Then we get to the fun part. Okay, this is where you get to play. At Hobby Lobby and Joann's, they have these different things. They're called flat backs. Some of them are called buttons. Wait, if you go to the store and they're full price, don't pay full price. The next week they will be half price. And all you have to do, really and truly, they're half price. All you do on these, put a little dab of glue and put it on there, and this is what you have.
Love it.
All right, before I skipped a step, that's okay. That's me. Hold on. Okay, once we folded that one that we started with, this one, hold on. Yes, Gato. Okay, we're going to take our glue gun, put just a dab of glue there, a dab of glue here, and a dab of glue there. That is because we don't want it to look like that. All right, so it will look like this, where it's attached. And then we can put on various different, these are all kinds of different, I don't know where I got these. You can buy these at Hobby Lobby, these little red bows. You can get 50 of them for $1.99 are on sale for $1, and I would not tie those little bows for that price. You can just glue that on there. You can also take something like this. Let me do it on this green one. Like that, and do it on the bows. You can take ribbons. You can take rickrack. You can even take little beads and glue them on there to make them look like ornaments. And I've also used these, which are in the scrapbooking section, and you just peel those off and they just glue right on. Then you take about a 9-inch piece of ribbon, and let me find one that doesn't have a piece of ribbon. And I just take a little bit of glue and put it in that fold, and then you put another little bit of glue on this end and put it in this fold like that. And if you do it that way, then you will get one that hangs straight and not all cattywampus. And here's some more that I've done. And if you, like I said, I did a bunch of these last year for a nursing home. And I was talking to somebody on Messenger today. I think it was Tammy. And she was saying that she was thinking that she would do this for her Meals on Wheels people at Christmas time. She would put one of these in with their Christmas Meals on Wheels dinner. And this is a couple that I've done that I did not do coordinating fabric. I just did the same fabric on both sides. But you can use just about anything. This is one that I used. I really like the fabric. Didn't turn out so great. But any questions, let me know. And if you ever have any questions, just contact me and I'll walk you through the steps because I know I'm going really fast.
Martha, can you tell us how and when you're attaching the ribbon to the top?
Okay. The way I would do it when I was really doing it, I would go ahead and tack all these down with a little bit of glue, the 3 bows. Then I would take the ribbon and put a little bit of glue there, and take this end, put a little bit of glue and put it there. And it would look like this. And then I would take my embellishment and glue that on top. Any other questions?
Are you using a glue gun?
Yes, just a little, it's a low heat glue gun.
Martha,
Yes.
can you sew that in as you're sewing the 2 halves together? It'd be tricky to try to find the point though, wouldn't it?
I'm going to deconstruct this one. Yeah, that's going to be tough.
It sounds easier the way that you did it.
Right, because that's where I put it.
Okay. We just had a question on that, so thank you.
Yeah. But you could even tack that down just with, tacking it with a needle and thread. Same thing on these edges. You could just do that with needle and thread instead of doing the hot glue. That would be easy to do. I just do so many of them. It seems easier for me just to do them with a hot glue gun or a cool glue gun.
Well, I think you got everybody's wheels turning on those Christmas trees. I'm in a dangerous position because I'm going to Hobby Lobby tomorrow. So thank you for that in advance.
Well, but don't go out and buy a ton of fabric right off the bat.
No, I think they have their Christmas 50% off. So I'm looking for those tiny little red bows that you said. I've already got a bunch of.
Oh, these. Oh, yeah, these are great.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And these are Hobby Lobby.
I wanted to mention too on those on the folded fabric coasters, we also have links if you want to start out with maybe a circle or a square and then work up to the hexagons. There's also links for that in there too. I mean, if somebody wants to get their feet wet doing the others. But I just think all of these ideas are just adorable. You put so much work and effort into this. I appreciate it so much.
Well, this got me started on all my Christmas ornaments.
You're ahead of everybody else then, aren't you?
That's right.
That's the way to do it. Do we have any other questions for Martha? Martha, it's like standing O for Martha. That's great stuff. That's some good stuff there. And circle squares. Oh, and one request from me on the Scrappy lanyard.
Yes.
Can you hold that up to the camera where you connected the scissors to the,
Yes.
you said you took that little plastic thingy off and then just put like maybe a jump ring on it?
I just put a
Can you just
little,
hold
can you
that
see
up?
that? Can you see
Okay,
that? It's just a little round ring. But I mean,
okay.
you can even just leave this on like that and it works. You don't even notice it,
The plastic.
the plastic.
Okay.
So either way.
All right.
And
Thank
these
you.
are, I mean, these go a long way. So they're really super.
I love it. How many times are you scrambling around at your sewing machine trying to find your little snipping scissors? Or even if you're sitting crocheting or knitting in front of the TV and you have to do a thread, it's like, where's my stuff? I love that. Those are just absolutely awesome, Martha. I appreciate it so much.
Sure.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, you know that means I think I'm last, but what do they say? Last but not least. I put my projects in there. Let me I'm going to turn this video off here and go to the other. Okay. Yeah. Oops, that's not good. Better? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, you heard me okay.
Yep.
Okay, I'm ready to rumble. I've got some ideas that are for probably your hard to buy people. And first one that I did is a upcycled padded tablet sleeve. So if you've done any of our line totes or upcycled any denim jeans into bags for Bloom, then this one's perfect for you. It's a padded denim sleeve. It's perfect for somebody who just takes their tablet and throws it into their backpack or accidentally drops it on the floor. And it'll save the screen from scratches and also help protect the electronic investment. Are you getting any feedback from me or are you okay?
Good.
We're good, thank you. So to make this, you'll need a pair of clean denim jeans. Okay. Some fleece. And maybe some favorite fabric of the person you're making it for, or just some wild child fabric, depending on who you got in mind. I think another cool thing would be is if you were to take the jeans that somebody wore that they really, really liked, but don't take them while they're still wearing them. You can take these and cut them up and use them for your project. So what you need is you'll need 2 pieces of the denim, 2 pieces of the fleece, and 2 pieces of your lining. And the way you find out how much you need is you measure a tablet. I cut out a little cardboard pattern for the tablet so I could make sure it fit in there. And my tablet, I put the width and the height, and then you add 1.5 inches. Add 1.5 inches to those measurements, which gives you enough to make the seams, and you'll lose some of that in the padding too. So I ended up needing a cut piece 8 1/4 by 11. So I did that. Centered what I wanted to make, what I wanted to harvest out of the jeans. I'm kind of particularly drawn to the pockets, so that's what I went for. But you could use this side that's got your little slip pocket like this, or you can maybe just cut up a bunch of different squares of denim, whatever you've got. If you've got pieces left over from those bags that you made for Bloom, that would work too. Okay, now if I had fusible fleece, I'd be making this different, but I don't. So I just had regular sewing fleece. So keep that in mind that this comes in 2 different fabrications. So after you cut out your denim, the second one that I made here, I'm going to flip this around so I can show you. First thing that I would do is I take the fleece and the denim and I treat them as one. And I keep them together by top stitching around the pocket. I top stitched when I sewed this extra little loopy on. And on the back, I top stitched when I used the back seam. So that's just enough top stitching to keep those 2 together and to keep them from shifting. And if you wanted to add your embellishments to the front of this, here you can see my lines from where I sewed them together. Before you sew the front to the back, that's when you should do your embellishment. On this one, I'm going to add a little magnetic clip closure. You can use Velcro, you can use the button. But this is where the fun comes in, is just designing. I did mine that I've got a pocket, and I like the pocket because I can put in their glasses, reading glasses, or my cheaters. We could put in the charger for the tablet in there, put some snacks in there. And I sewed this up on the side a little bit so I had room for my stylus for the tablet or for a pen. And I put a belt loop over here just because, put a little bitty carabiner there. Maybe I put my keys or I don't know what there, but it's an optional thing. But this is where you can have fun. And if you've got a diva that you're making this for, hey, get out the bedazzler and go to town. You can put all kinds of rhinestones and rivets and really customize this to whoever you're going to give this to. So once you've got the front all ready, the back already, you're going to put them right sides together and you're going to stitch through, do the side, bottom, and the other side. You're going to stitch those together. And I like to come back and gently curve these bottom curves because most of your tablets are curved on the bottom. So I curved this and I eliminated some of the bulk when I put my snappy in there by cutting that away. And then I'm going to turn this right side out and put the little tab. I basted that across the back. And the reason why I turned it right side out is because I get confused as to which way it's going to go on. So I wanted to make sure I had it basted on there right. But now that this is prepared, we're going to prepare the lining. Now the lining is just the same size as what you've got the outside of the bag. You're going to sew the side and the bottom closed, but you're going to leave an opening to turn. So in the lining of the bag, I left this side open, and this is sewn shut, this is shut, and this is shut. And then that's not really a trick because you guys have done this before when you did some of the line totes, so it works the same way. You're going to take your lining and push the corners out with your fingers and put the lining on your arm like you got a big sock on. And what you're wanting to do is put the right side of the lining against the right side of the bag. So I'm going to stick it down in the bag. And then come up here and pin this all together. And I'm not going to take time to sew it, but I just wanted to show you that if you pin this together, sew it all the way around the top. Of course, you're going to do it a lot nicer than me. I'm just rushing through here just to show for a demo. And so once you have your right side sewn together, you reach in and you pull out the lining And now that you've got the lining out, you're going to come in, put your hand inside this hole that you left. Remember, we left this hole for turning. So put your hand in that hole and then turn the bag, all of it right side out. And you'll have all your right sides out. Then you can turn the top down and go ahead and add your top stitching. So add your button if needed, and ta-da, you've got a tablet cover. I like these because they're so creative. You can make as little or as much as you want to on it. You can customize it to the personality of who you're giving it to. And if that lucky someone is also getting a tablet from you this year, what a better way to present it than to put it into a custom tablet sleeve. And yeah, hint, hint, I'm not the Cubs fan. Okay, my next one. This is adorable. This is a no-sew fleece. I'm getting a feedback here, so give me just a second, guys. Let's see if that makes any difference. There we go. Thank you. That makes a difference. I forgot to mute the other one. Oh, all of you guys who are chugging away making those winter wear fleece hats and gloves and mittens and scarves for me, do you got a bunch of little pieces laying around? Then, oh my gosh, this is just the cutest thing. This is a circle no-sew fleece scarf. It's a perfect gift. Birthday gift, holiday gift, any day gift. And the pattern that the link is in the chat, you can make it for toddlers through adults. It's a good link that's got printable instructions and a video, so it's very clear on how to make it. And best of all, there's no sewing, no sewing. I love it. And I know you've got scraps left over from your fleece. So the instructions give you an idea of how many circles you'll need. For a toddler takes 12, kids take 18, and adults are 24 to 28. And so this is really easy to customize if you need it longer or shorter. This is how you do it. They say to start out with a 4-inch circle. They use an oatmeal lid, but I didn't have a small oatmeal lid. But they say to take a small oatmeal lid, make a circle. Here, I'm going to put him on. And then they tell you to open up your fleece, and on the fold, they say to put the circle on the fold, but leave a 2-inch mark that you're not going to be cutting through. So I measured 2 inches across here. It's going to look like a flat tire when we're done. And you put that on the fold, leaving 2 inches of the fold uncut. And I tell you, I got real tired of that real quick. So then I tried to do this. I just cut the edge off of my bottom. And that was a lot easier putting that on the fold because I could see exactly where that needed to be. And so once I got one of these cut out, then I made one of these. This is what they're going to look like. Your pattern's going to look like when you're done getting them cut out. So that's what they look like. They say it looks like a butterfly, but I think it looks like sunglasses myself. So these are what you cut out, as many as you want for the length of the scarf that you want. And after you have them all cut out, what you're going to do is just line up your colors, line up the colors and find a pleasing way that you want them to go together. And then you need to make tiny little slits on either end of the circle. And the easiest way I found for that is I folded it up and used my width of about my thumb. And then on my scissors, I put a little mark here, 1/4 of the inch down off of the tips, because we want to end up with a 1/2 inch snip, which means when it's folded, you're only going to want to take a 1/4 inch bite. Now you could put a little piece of masking tape there too, or something like that, but you just fold this up, line up where your thing is, just line her up, make a little snip. Okay, come around to the other end, do the same thing, about 1 inch in from the end, my width of my thumb being about 1 inch, and then make your little 1/4 inch, which is actually a 1/2 inch snip. So you snip all of these, and then when you go to put them together, get the order that you want them in, and fold this in half, put your fingers in here to like hold your spot. There's my little snip. Then take the next one, fold it with the wrong sides together with the right sides out, and then just push it through that little hole and pull this through till it's halfway through, and then flap those up and match your holes again. So that's how you make your chain. Okay, let's do an orange one. You take your butterfly, make sure you got your snips in it, fold it with the wrong sides together, push through that hole and pull it till it's halfway through. Open it up, and there's your chain. And you keep building on your chain until you get it as long as what you want it to be. Now to end this, you gotta have pom-poms. Okay, these are easy to make. You take a piece of fabric, okay, the instructions said I had to find where I was. I lost my measurements, didn't want to tell you guys wrong. In the instructions, they say to take a piece of fleece 4.5 inches wide by 16. And I found that to be a little bit small. It might have worked okay for like the toddler size, the smaller size, but the size of chain I had was more of the youth size. So I made mine 6 inches wide by 16 inches long. And then I took my chalk marker and just marked a line about a 1/2 inch away from the fold and put pins in there as a reminder. And then you just come along and you make your snips and you stop right at that chalk line. And you can tell I'm not real worried about them being exact. I'm just eyeballing them. But you can use, obviously you can use a ruler, or you can make a template with some paper. That's okay. And so once you've got that all fringed out, how you make the pom-pom is pretty easy. We're going to open this up. Sure, easier said than done, right? We're going to open that up and make sure all of those little fringes are behaving and get them on the right sides of where they need to go. And then have another about a 3/4 by 16 ready to go. And then all you're going to do is just roll this up, coming right down the center. And just roll it right to the edge. Now, you might find that you don't want it as thick as this. And if you don't want it this thick, then go ahead and cut off some of the excess. But this is going to be a real big, full pom-pom. And once you get that rolled, here's the middle of it. You're going to take one of your strips of the fleece and go ahead and tie that around there really tight. And it's nice that fleece doesn't fray and it doesn't need to be hemmed. And it's just lovely to work with. So I've got that real tight on there and it's starting to come together. And so we've got a pom-pom, and that's a nice big pom-pom. Okay, and let's see. when you put it on the edge of the scarf that has this slits already in it, you just pull this through it and tie it together and tie it up. On the other side, in order to get one on here, what you're going to do is make slits on this side and then pull that through, tie it up, and then fringe the whole thing out. And then when you're done, you can give them a haircut. If you don't like the way that some of them are hanging. Now, I did this in a different color so you could see, but you can come along and just trim out, make it all the same. Okay, I think these are adorable. I can just see grandma and a bunch of the kids sitting around making these, or craft day for the kids. I can see kids making these for like their little cousins, for their besties, their siblings, some kind of a gift exchange. And grandpa or dad maybe make one in their team colors or their favorite spirit fleece or object fleece, Superman fleece, whatever you have. Now, okay, that's cute for kids, but show me that this can be adorable for adults. Well, I'll take on that challenge. Look at, I love this piece of fleece. I bought like a bunch of this. I love this. I've been sending out a lot of this to our partner charities, but I love this fleece. And yes, I did. I made one for myself out of all the same color, out of this black and white. And let's see, I'm going to put it on, and maybe can we go to the other? Let me start my video on the other. So can you see me? Oh, it's little. Okay, here, let me pull this up a second. We'll do this. Oh, there you go. There we go. Hi, guys. I love this. I don't know. I didn't think I would just really like this so much, but I love this because it's not heavy. I could make it heavy if I could use a heavier fleece, but this is so nice and soft, and it's just not a lot around your neck. Some people, they don't like it. I don't like a big bulky thing around my neck, but I love this black and white. So let me show you what I did differently on this. And now we're going to come back to this one. Okay. Thank you, Tiffany. So I did the same thing with this. I cut out my circles, looped them together, but this fleece, I could feel it's thinner. So keep that in mind too. The other ones that I was making with these circles, for some reason, the solid is thicker, but doesn't matter. I liked this really well. Now, if I was making this for a full-grown big adult, maybe my husband or somebody out of Team Fleece, instead of the 4-inch, I might make a 4.5 or a 5. I think maybe a 4.5 might be really good for this. But I wanted to show you what I did differently instead of pom-poms, because pom-poms does make it a little bit kiddish. And instead I used tassels. And so what I did for that is I cut strips that are about 3/4 inches wide by about 14 inches long. And I'm just going to be stacking them up together like a print solid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I put 8 of them together, and I've got them all squeezed up here between my thumb and my finger. And let's pretend this is the end of my scarf. I've got my slits. Now I did make this slit just a little bit bigger than a 1/2 inch, but you take all of these, you push it through, and then pull them through the bottom and try to get them evened out. And so we've got them kind of evened out at the bottom. And then I'm going to take another strip and then just come like I'm doing a tassel and just tie it at the bottom. And it's pull it, work with it, get that tied up where you want it to be. And then I've got my fringe on the bottom. And I tell you what, I think I could see making this for just about everybody in the family. I'm surprised how much I like mine. Perfect gift for a co-worker, family, friends, anyone. One size fits all, no sewing, quick, easy fleece scrap buster. What's not to love, right? Okay, now I've got my last one. We can't forget the most important people in the house, and that's our pets. If you have pets, then you know how darn expensive pet toys are. And you also know how your pets can be like little kids. You go out and you buy them something expensive, an expensive toy, and they'd rather play in the box it came in or in the wrapping paper instead. But I've got an easy project for Kitty that's cat tested and cat approved. A kitty kickstick. Cats love these because they grab onto the with their front paws, they grab onto this, and on the back, they just love to kick it with their back legs. And you can make it really enticing, like put catnip in it. They'll really enjoy it. Even my fussy old Callie likes this one. So this is super easy, which I love about all the crafts tonight. We're making it easy so they go fast for you because you've got a lot of things I know that you need to do. But I start out with a piece of fabric. It should be fairly firm, woven material. It's got to stand up to the wear and tear. Now the link on the video says to cut it 3.5 inches wide. I don't think that's wide enough because you want to have a little bit of meat for the cat to hang on to. So I think that's a little too narrow. So this one is about 5.5 by 16 inches long. So you just fold that in half, stitch down the long side, stitch across the end, trim the corners, turn that right side out, and then you just start stuffing it. Okay, you stuff it alternating with stuffing and catnip, stuffing, catnip, stuffing, catnip, stuffing, catnip. Or if you don't want your cat to have catnip, try stuffing some little busy balls down in there. That'd keep them entertained. Now I did try jingle balls just like this, but that doesn't work because when the stuffing gets on them, they don't make any noise. So stuffing, put a couple of jingle balls in there and you've got a jingle stick. And my cat goes nuts for these. I don't know what it is about these. I'm surprised I can keep her away from them. But you can stuff your little crinkly ball, stuff a crinkle ball, stuffing, crinkle ball stuffing. So there's other alternatives. And I wanted to show you the great idea. You're just going to love this. Okay, you know what this is. These are what? If Judy was here, Judy know what this is because Judy dressed up like this for Halloween. This is the bottom of my craft floor, all of my little parts and bits of the fleece. But you know what this stuff is good for. Now be careful, don't go nuts. Take it, cut it up into little pieces. Just be careful, you don't want to slice your fingers off or lose any digits. Go slow. And guess what you've got? You've got the world's best, freest ever stuffing. That could stuff some cat toys. So you could use your polar fleece that's all cut up into little bits. Make your own, keep it out of the landfill. When you get done sewing, throw it in a bucket. And then when you're ready to stuff some cat toys or whatever you're making, even pet beds, I don't see why this wouldn't work just as well. Okay. Scrap buster, quick and easy. What's not to love? Do I have any questions? Or you guys are like, oh, get this lady out of here. I'm telling you. Are we good?
Sorry, I'm muted. I'm talking and nothing's coming out.
You'll be here.
Sorry. No, no, I don't think there's no questions. Let me did I unspotlight you? Go to gallery, open it up. Anybody got any questions? That was amazing. Great ideas. Love everything. So that was really great. Any questions?
I do have a little bit of a wrap up. And plus I need to post that other, and I don't think I've got to start my video again. Oh, yeah, it says the host to stop my video, but
Yeah, well, I turned that camera off while you're doing your other one.
okay,
So,
thank you.
yeah, I didn't think you wanted your butt wiggling in the background, so I turned it off.
I appreciate that. I don't think anybody wanted to see that either.
You know, I just was trying to be polite. So
I know that's I love that. Okay, did you want to? Can you start it?
there you go.
Here it is.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, guys, there you have it. Crafting Changes version of Pinterest nailed it or failed it. And I think we nailed it. I hope you all enjoyed our Craft Scrappy Zoom tonight. We all had a lot of fun preparing and presenting those ideas to you. And a big thank you to all the presenters, Martha, Kathy, Robin, Tiffany. You guys were awesome. I appreciate how hard everybody worked. Weren't they all great? It's like, yes, thank you guys. I am going to be posting a link to the Scrappy Crafts guide sheet. And when you open that sheet, you will see the ideas are categorized like Christmas ornaments, kitchen ideas, kids ideas, and anything that was presented tonight is going to be highlighted in yellow, and it's going to have the presenter's name after it. And at the bottom of the sheet is going to be emails for everybody. If you have a question or want to maybe just show off what you made and send it to us, we would just love to see what you've been making. We just really do love to see that. So if you have any questions or anything on anything we've done tonight, don't hesitate to contact us. Yeah, Tammy, I'm going to go jump out and get the link for that. So.
All right. All right. I want to thank everybody for coming. I'm going to turn the recording off and then we can just visit a little bit. So I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to especially thank Kathy for hosting this amazing class. This was just really a lot of fun. I want to thank everyone for attending tonight. And that's all we got. It was really a wonderful evening. So thanks so much, everybody.